was trying to define phonetics and phonology. Today, let's look at speech sounds. Speech sounds. Well, I defined phonetics for you the other time as a branch of linguistics that studies sound properties. And I told you that those sound properties were articulatory properties, acoustic properties, and auditory properties. And I told you articulatory properties were actually those properties that were involved in the production of sound. Acoustic properties were actually those sounds that those equipment, those apparatus that interfere immediately after the production of sound. And in the auditory properties, they are actually those properties that are involved to receive the sounds that have been produced. So you have the transmission, you have the production, the transmission, and the reception. Today, let's look at speech sound itself. Speech sound. Well, I define speech sound as a linguistic symbol which can actually be pronounced, it can be produced, it can be heard, and it can be transcribed. A speech organ is simply a linguistic symbol which can be produced, pronounced, heard, and transcribed. Speech sounds can actually be described as vocal audiovisual symbols, vocal audiovisual sounds that are characterized by the following features. Speech sounds are characterized by the following features. Number one, we should know that they are actually produced with the aid of human speech organs. Speech sounds are usually produced by human speech organs. And when we say human speech organs, we're talking about the teeth, we're talking about the tongue, we're talking about the alveolar, we're talking about the nasal cavity, we're talking about the velum, we're talking about the palatal, we're talking about the glottis, and on like that. They are those speech organs that we actually employ to produce sound. So, number one, don't forget, speech sounds are produced by human speech organs. And that signals something to you. What is that thing? Speech sounds are human specific. You know, in the first explanation, I told you they are produced by human speech organs. We use human speech organs to produce speech sound. And now I'm saying they are human specific. So you get a signal from the first characteristic that speech sounds are human specific. What do we mean? Only human beings produce speech sounds. Number three, we can know that we should know that speech organs are interpreted by human beings. Speech sounds are interpreted by human beings. What do we mean? It is only the human beings that can actually hear, interpret the sounds that have been produced. Only the human beings can interpret the sounds that has been produced. And when I say sounds, I mean those linguistic symbols, the way I've described speech sounds. And these symbols are put in place carefully by a body known as International Phonetic Alphabets. International Phonetic Alphabets. We have normal alphabets. You used to know your A, B, C, D, E, on and on to Z. But this time around, we're talking about phonetic alphabets. So there are certain symbols that you're going to encounter that they're not actually similar to the normal regular alphabet. And there are some that are similar to the regular alphabet, but we are not defining them as regular alphabets. They are actually phonetic alphabets. But these phonetic alphabets are not just local, are not just limited to one language or the other. We call it international phonetic alphabets, the IPA. And the symbols can be viewed, it can be visualized. The symbols can be viewed, can be visualized. There are sounds that cannot be visualized. As a matter of fact, there are sounds that, even though they are communicative sounds, they cannot be visualized. You cannot represent them with symbol. There are some click, glotter sounds that they are not speech sounds. Even though they communicate, sounds like, how do you represent that with symbol? These are the things we're talking about. But speech sounds are actually represented with symbols. They can be seen, they can be interpreted, they can be visualized. Another thing about speech sound is that they can be recorded. You can actually record speech sounds. Yes, you can actually record speech sounds. And they are symbolic because they are simply representatives of the noise. Now you're going to put that noise in quotes. They are simply representing noise. And when I say noise now, I actually mean sound. You know, in communication, we describe noise as barrier to communication. So noise are not actually meaningless, so to say. Noise can be meaningful. It's only functionally when they perform, when they occur in certain environments, they now occur as barrier to communication. Even though a speaker is saying something sensible to himself, but to the hearer, to the receiver, it's constituting impediment to communication. Then, if it's constituting impediment or barrier to communication, we say that is noise. We say that is noise. So these symbols, they are only representative of sounds. Let me now use sound, not noise. Representative of sounds made by human beings, and they are organized into discernible units or forms for the purpose of communication. Lastly, let me tell you that speech sounds are either written as letters or sounds. They are either written as letters or sounds. The major difference is that letters are actually spelled. I think you should get that. Letters are actually spelled, but speech sounds are pronounced. Speech sounds are pronounced. Don't be confused. Somebody can come up to say, oh, we pronounce letter. No, we pronounce sound. We spell letters. We spell alphabets. Spell words. W-L-R-D. Pronounce words in terms of speech sound. We say w, d. Just 3 sounds. But in alphabets, you have 4 alphabets. W, O, R, D. In sound, you have w, d. 3 sounds. Is that not great? 4 words, 3 sounds. There are actually some words that can be made up of like 7 letters. 7 letters. But in pronunciation, there are just 2 sounds. Let's look at this example. T, H, L, U, G, H. I take that again. T, H, O, U, G, H. That's in spelling as alphabet. Now let's go to pronunciation. To pronounce the word, we say though, though, though. And the word is actually made up of 2 sounds, a consonant sound and a diphthong vowel sound. The, the voiced dental fricative, and L, 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 a diphthong, L, though, though, and that is it. So that we are having many letters does not signal that we're going to have many sounds representing such words. So let's be very careful. Scholars have actually done a lot, from Ladifudge to Banjo to Awobulure to Bamishaye. They have done enough work. For example, Bamishaye 1990, Fundamentals of Phonetics, maintains that though through phonetics, we are exposed to numbers of linguistic activities taking place with respect to the speaker and hearer of a given language. He asserts that it is the real justification for talking about the vibration or otherwise of the vocal cords. So the resistance presents a sound as either voice or voiceless. Either your glottis vibrates or it doesn't vibrate. And this corresponds to where and how sounds are produced. And the relevance of the production of consonants, if you may know, has to do with vivid description of such consonant sounds. We describe in a prescribed manner. We describe in what? In a prescribed manner. We describe consonant sounds, for example. First, showing the state of the glottis, and that is to show whether it's voiced or voiceless. Second, to show the place of articulation, and this is to whether it is bilabial, labiodental, dental, alveolar, palatal-alveolar, palatal, velar, or glottal. Number 3, we define speech sound, consonant sounds, after the state of the glottis, after the place of articulation. The third one is the manner of articulation. And this is whether the sound is plosive or stop, whether the sound is fricative, whether the sound is affricates, whether the sound is nasal, whether the sound is lateral, whether it is approximant or flap. We describe consonant sounds by these three criteria, and we follow that order. That was why I said We describe consonant sound in a prescribed manner. We describe consonant sound in a prescribed manner. It has been prescribed. It has to follow that order. The state of the glottis, the place of articulation, and the manner of articulation. By the time you follow that order, there are no two sounds that will be defined or described in the same manner or with the same feature. They may have similarity, but not in every environment. They may share the place of articulation, share manner of articulation, but I assure you, they won't share the state of the glottis. They won't share the state of the glottis. So they are different. Those two sounds are different in at least one phonological environment or one phonetic environment. So this you must not forget. For vowel sounds, we can have they are also described in three. We use three criteria to describe vowel sound, and it has its own order too. Vowel sound has an order with which we describe them. The first one is the height of the tongue. The height of the tongue. And this is to show whether the vowel sound is high, mid, or low. The position of the tongue, whether that vowel sound is produced via front, center, or back of the tongue. Whether the front of the tongue, the center of the tongue, or the back of the tongue. And the third one is to show the length of breath. Is that vowel sound long or short? How do we know whether it's long or short? Is it produced with long breath or short breath? So if it is produced with short breath, we say that's short vowel. And to define our short vowel, we don't put the double dots after the sound. But for the long vowel, we put double dots, mostly double dots, to indicate that this is a long vowel sound, long vowel sound. So please, these are the few things that you should know as regards the speech sound, I want you to take your time to drop your comments. If you are able to ask your question. In the playover, I will attend to all questions. Trust me, I don't dodge question. I see it as an avenue. When you ask question and I'm able to answer or I'm able to offer an insight into how you're going to get the solution, that's what I believe. So do not forget. Let me also remember to mention this, that consonant sounds in English are 24. Consonant sounds in English are 24. And the distribution of those 24, if you will be able to remember, but as time goes on this channel, I'm going to continue to make available charts and evidences of the realization of some of these sounds in English language. Therefore, I'll be giving you examples of some of these sounds in English language. But the distribution of those 24 consonant sounds, we have 6 plosive. Now, when I'm beginning to mention plosives or stop, you should know what I'm talking about, manner of articulation. If I decide to use the place of articulation and I'm saying, oh, we have so and so number of bilabial consonants, I'm actually explaining in the direction of place of articulation. So, but for now, let me quantify, let me give you the numbers of those consonant sounds via manner of articulation. For plosive sounds, we have about 6 plosive sounds. 6 plosive sounds. What are these six plosive sounds? You have the p, the b, that's bilabial. Then you have t, you have d, alveolar sounds. And the way I mention them in pair, you will know that one is voiceless, the other is voice. Pa, voiceless, bilabial plosive. Ba, voiced bilabial plosive. Are you following? Ta, voiceless, alveolar plosive. Da, voiced alveolar plosive. One is voiceless, one is voiced. Then you move on to voiceless velar plosive. Ka. Voiceless velar plosive. Ka. Then voiced velar plosive. Ga. Voiced velar plosive. Ga. Now you notice one thing about these six sounds. They explode. Air stored, released suddenly. Released suddenly, not slitting. Suddenly. Pa, ba, ka, ga, ta, da. We say they are plosive sounds. We say they are plosive sounds. The next one, we have the fricative. The fricatives. How many sounds do we have? How many consonant sounds do we have under fricative? We have 9 consonant sounds. Don't forget, in plosive, we have 6 plosive sounds. But in fricative, we have 9 fricative sounds in English. What are those sounds? Number 1, the voiceless labiodental fricative. Voiceless labiodental fricative. Voiceless. And you have the voiced version. Voiced labiodental fricative. That is v. F, v. You make use of the upper teeth and the lower lips. Labiodental. Dental the teeth, labio the lips. Don't forget. And we have th and the. That is dental sound. Voiceless dental fricative. Th, as in through, 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 through. Thoughts, thoughts, thoughts. Then we have the voice dental fricative. The voiced dental fricative. In voice dental fricative, you have d, the, voiceless, voice, the. Words like though, the, then. You have this sound coming into manifestation. Also under fricative, you have the voiceless alveolar fricative. Voiceless alveolar fricatives. Voiceless alveolar fricatives include s, s. When you produce s, you produce with alveolar ridge and the air slitting out as in fricative. Don't forget. And the voiced version of that consonant sound is z, z, s, and z. S, voiceless, z, voiced. So when you say z, we're talking about voiced alveolar fricative. Voiced alveolar fricative. The seventh one is the voiceless palato-alveolar fricative. Voiceless palato-alveolar fricative. And it is just one sound. Shh. Shh. As in shoe. As in shear. In spelling, you say S-H-O-E. And in pronunciation, you say shoe. S-H-A-R-E. In pronunciation, you say share. Share. So you have sh as voiceless palato-alveolar fricative. And for the voiced version, you have j, j, as in pleasure, measure, on and on like that. That is voiced palato-alveolar fricative. Voiced palato-alveolar fricative. That's number 8. Number 9, the last fricative sound is glottalic, is ha, ha. In alphabets, mostly represented by H in letter. But in sound, it ha is aspirated sound. Ha, ha. And we describe that as voiceless glottal fricative. Voiceless glottal fricative. Voiceless glottal fricative. Those are the 9 sounds under fricative sounds. We also have 2 sounds under affricates. Don't forget, 6 plosive, 9 fricative, 2 affricates. What are those 2 affricate sounds? Those 2 affricate sounds are palato-alveolar sounds. In terms of place of articulation, they are palato-alveolar sounds. And what are those sounds? You have ch, ch, ch. That's voiceless palato-alveolar affricates. Voiceless palato-alveolar affricates. Not voiceless palato-alveolar fricative. For voiceless palato-alveolar fricative, you have sh. But for voiceless palato-alveolar affricate, you have ch, ch, as in church, as in cheer. In spelling, you have C-H-E-E-R, cheer. You have chair, C-H-A-I-R. So the ch, it's described as voiceless palato-alveolar affricate. For the voiced version, you have voiced palato-alveolar affricate, and that's j, j, j. It is evident, or the manifestation can be seen in the word judge, 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 gorgeous, gorgeous, Jude, Jude. You have the manifestation of voiced palato-alveolar affricates. Those are the 2 sounds under the affricates. So 6 plosives, 9 fricative, making 15, 2 palato-alveolar sounds, making 17. Don't forget, we're going to 24. The next manner of articulation I want to describe is nasal. There are 3 nasal sounds, primarily in English. There are 3 nasal sound primarily in English. Number one is voiced bilabial nasal, and that is ma, ma, as in man, move, mend, arm, armed, comb, comb, comb. Then you have that ma sound can occur at the initial position, can occur at the medial position, and can also occur at the final position. Can also occur at the final position. Before we round up, let's look at the second one, na. Na is described as voiced alveolar nasal. Voiced alveolar nasal. Na, as in nose, as in annotation. Annotation. The third one is described as voiced velar nasal. Voiced velar nasal, as in ng, morning, signing, will represent ng in such words as voiced velar nasal sounds. We also have a lateral sound, just one lateral sound, and that is la. La is described as voice alveolar lateral. Voice alveolar lateral. The last one, in place of articulation, it's approximant. For approximant, we have w, which is bilabial. You use your two lips to produce w. So we say voice bilabial approximant. Voice bilabial approximant. We also have voice alveolar approximant. Voice alveolar approximant. And that's represented in r, r, r sound. Voice alveolar approximant. The last, but not the least, an approximant sound, a palatal sound. Voiced palatal approximant. Voiced palatal approximant, and that is making 24. Making 24. Today, we've looked at how to describe consonant sound. We started from speech sounds, defining the speech sound, telling us the characteristics of speech sounds. Then we delved into the characteristics of consonant sound. How do we describe consonant sounds? I also looked at how we describe vowel sound, even though we have not described vowel sounds, but I've given you the prescription on how to describe the vowel sounds. So when next we meet here on this channel, we'll be looking at how to describe vowel sounds, just like we have looked at how to describe consonant sound. And we will be able to move into the supra-segmental level of phonology. Until then, thanks for joining me on this channel. Good day.